these rules at the top, right? We're going to click the roll button. It's not here. I think I'm just going to press the screen, right? Yes. Yeah, there's no roll button. So soon there will be a roll button, but right now we just put the screen anywhere and it's going to roll. And then if you, yes. So depending on which button you press, you will win based on the score totals, right? So you're adding up the sum of 3 dice. So let's see. If we have the numbers 1, 2, and 3, and let's say we click small, based on these rules, what's going to happen? The total is 6. Is 6 between this value? Yes. So then we should see some text display that says you win, probably like over here, right? Cool. And then if we roll it again, then we get these numbers 6, 6, and 6. And now we press big, what happens? That's it. Yes. That's it. Oh, okay, yes, so we're getting there, right? So this is how we want it to work, correct? Yeah, so 6, 6, and 6, you get 18. And is 18 between this range? Right. Wait, but this says 17. Yeah, so it's a lose, right? Okay, just testing out the rules, right? So far so good, yes? So you notice there's lots of if statements, there's lots of adding, there's lots of checking, so on and so forth. And let's roll and see if this is actually what happens. And off to the side here, I'm also going to record down the values that we see of die 1, die 2, and die 3. Okay, so this is the first click, first roll. Let's see what happens. Okay. Was I supposed to click a button specifically? Okay, that's the specific button. All right, got it. So I refresh the page. I'm going to click big, right? So here I like big, right? Big or small. So I'm about to press the big button, and let's see what my die values are. Okay? 6, 4, and 1. Did that follow the rules correctly? We got a sum of 11. We pressed big. Yes? So far so good, yeah? I'm going to press it one more time. Okay, same thing. The big button's being pressed. And now let's see my next values. Okay, I think that's correct. Like so. All right, so this part and your score. Let's see. Score. It was blank initially, right? And now this one it displayed 11. And now if I press big one more time, yes, you have the numbers 5, 1, and 3. And now I get a score of 13. Wait, but these numbers added together is not 13, correct? Yeah, it's the sum of the previous one. So really this stuff should be boosted up 1. Okay? Now your program, when you're working on your dice game, may have a similar bug to this, right? This is kind of a nasty one, and it's if you watch your game, then you will see it. Like for example, sometimes your current dice being displayed, right? A very common error to have in this game is you display your previous roll, but then you calculate like your score or the winner based on your current roll, and then something's out of sync. Yeah, it's the same underlying issue as we see with the student's score. Make sense? You're one frame behind here. This die, this die, this die, everything above is up to date, but your score is a little bit off. So we're going to investigate why that is. And you can see as your programs are getting bigger, it's going to require a lot more time and thinking to figure out why that is, okay? As I investigate this program, I see that sum over here, that's probably the sticky point, right? Sum is being calculated one too early, or if anything, if I press big, this is what I'm thinking. If I press big, I forgot to recap. Okay, so it didn't show up here since I got 3 wins in a row. But if there was a lose, I would kind of be suspicious on whether or not this winner was being displayed on the previous one too. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, so maybe I'll just roll one more time to see if I get a lose. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's a loss. So let me write that down. I have the numbers 4. I have these numbers. I pressed big one last time. 4 times big. I have the numbers 4, 2, and 3. I just displayed a score of 9. And then this is somehow a loss. Is that right though? 6 and 9. Wait. Shoot. My example. What are the odds, right? So this case, it happens to be the same thing because the scores both add up to 9, right? So not the best example. It should have been something else, but okay. Did you see what happened there? So your bug is actually bigger than you think it is because now it's displaying also the previous winner. 2, 4, 5. I think we can see it here, right? Because that's a total score of 11, which should have been a win if I picked big, right? But it's actually displayed lose. And then you see a score of 9 again. Yeah? So actually 2 things are out of sync. The winner and also the score. Those 2 things are related. Those students paying attention, does that make sense? Yeah? So, as you look into your program, there are 3 key things that happen, and there's a certain order that it must happen. So I'm writing more on the whiteboard. There is drawing. Okay, that's one big action. There's generating, like generate values. Okay, think about that like rolling because you're all using dice games. And then here you have the checking actions. Okay, that could be sums, it could be winners. Right? The order of these 3 blocks, or these 3 actions, affects your program. Because right now, I think, so just based on when I browsed for this student's code, and based on a lot of your values too, is that you're separating a lot of the drawing functions, for example, into a button, right, or on a mouse press, and then you have some inside your draw function. Yeah, it's like in 3 different spots. Same thing for generating values. If you're re-rolling, sometimes it's in a button, sometimes it's inside the draw function, right? And then your checking, that too occurs in like a bunch of different places. Maybe it's a button, maybe it's in the draw function, maybe it's in its own separate mouse pressed function. Okay? And that's the heart of your error, because this order, it has to go generate some values, check based on those values, and the last thing you do has to be drawing, and you're going to see why. Okay? Because just based on what's up here on the board, right, values were generated, checking happened, but the drawing might have occurred somewhere in between here, like maybe here, or if anything, maybe you draw first. Okay? It's very subtle, the order of the difference here. Because if you draw first, that's why we see everything from the beginning. Okay? With the exception of the very first frame, which is all blank, yes? That's when it just happens to be in sync. Make sense? Any questions so far? No? So the main idea, and I say this in my little video and from my SFCTA from last year, you want to try to keep these 3 actions separate as much as possible. Try to do all the drawing at the very end, once you've generated your values, once you've checked, like to see if there's a winner. Try not to draw any dice or show any numbers before that, and then you'll avoid errors like this. Okay? Conceptually, that's what we're going to do. Make sense? Now, and actually, right, because I haven't fully debugged this code yet, you are seeing real-time debugging. And this may take a while, as you've noticed when you work with programs. So conceptually, we're all okay. Any questions before we dive into the code? No? All right, so with that lens in mind, as I scroll through this, and what's weird about JavaScript is this stuff right here, the button stuff, messes with that order a lot, yes? Okay, when you go to a big function and a small function, when you use these mouse presses, you don't know when in the draw loop that occurs, right? It could be in between, it could be one off. That's where it gets a bit harder to debug, just as a heads up, and that's a weird JavaScript thing. And hopefully we will get it. So we notice down here, there's a small function, there's a big function based on the button that's being pressed. There's also a roll function. Those three things are used in, we scroll down, you can see a lot of if statements, more if statements, as expected. Okay, over here, start. Okay, start is useless at the moment. Is that still true? Okay, so we will ignore that. I think you can hide it by clicking this thing. Yes? So now we're at draw, right? We're all familiar with draw. Var sum equals these three things, we add it together. If I go back to the very beginning, we see that, gosh, okay, hide this, and the very beginning is, okay, hide that, right here in setup, okay? So we have sums of zeros, okay? And then we go back to our original one, and then we roll. Great, what does it mean to roll? We generate some random, so right here, you do some drawing. This much doesn't matter because it's the background, but I'm weary right around here, yes? These two things initially presented to you occurred all at the same time. My recommendation is you're probably going to move this text into like the very bottom of your draw function, okay? That's one way we can go about trying to fix it. When I say generating, up on the board, generating values or rolls, it should be just this round random dice one variable changing. Make sense? Okay. As we go down here, right, we finish this line, we're stepping through our code, we display our score. If you notice here, the score is displayed first. We did not do any checking just yet. Yes? Okay, so where did the checking occur? And then we draw some more stuff in the background, the boxes, direct decorations, and then when we press, we go to the roll function again. So as I'm looking at this, you may want to have, let's see, we may not need this one right here, mouse pressed. So there's two lines of code that do the same thing. When you redraw, that calls the draw function again, that rolls your dice again, yes? You don't need to have another mouse pressed here. You might have accidentally rolled it twice, which could have caused your bug too. So as we go back here, right? So now the order gets really tricky. When we now have to go like into here, the button pressing. So refresh the page. We have an idea of what the bug is. Let's see if it still occurs. Right now it's blank at the very beginning. I click big once everything loads. All right, I clicked big. Is that score correctly added? Did you see it? I see. The score says 10. Is that 10? All right. So something's up. Yeah, like, right. And then it says lost, right? But so this is, yeah, I selected big. This half now matches up, but the numbers up. This bit, okay. So why is it a loss? This total is 13. 13, and I clicked big. It should be. Yeah, I clicked big. Ow. Right. Okay, but where did 10 come from? Okay, so let's do that again. Okay? New slate. This is the very first click, okay? So watch carefully, right? 1, 2, 3 boxes. I'm going to click big, okay? That makes sense. Right. No, it doesn't. And the bottom makes sense. But where did the 6 come from?
It's from the previous roll.
I didn't have a previous roll. So, okay. Yes. Yes. So many versions of the same bug. So you would think that this thing would display 0 at the beginning, right?
It's so like it makes it look nicer because like the source is NaN. So like I added into 0.
So in the very beginning, right? You drew it to be blank, correct? But there were actually values being generated here, right? Let's go one more, right? Because we're still going to see the one-off thing. So remember the value 8, right? I'm still going to press big again. So you should see 8 pop up here. which you know is a loss, and then we're going to see one frame ahead here. Yes. Right, 8, that's expected, that's a loss. But now this total is 12, right? So then we expect this part to be, which one? Yeah, when I click it once more, this is one frame slow. So this is 12, this is going to be 3 random numbers, right? Or, yeah, I added wrong, 11. Now you have 9, correct? Which is 9, and then, so this sync is off, yes? So let's start moving some things around. If we want it to be in sync, we have to look for our text drawing stuff. Where is it in roll? Right here. Let's see, roll. So in roll, okay, the roll function we're going to change just to generate random numbers, not draw them too. We draw them after we figured out the, oh gosh, okay, gotta think. Yeah, I'm going to move a couple lines and let's see what happens. So all the drawing that occurs currently in roll, we're going to hide that and then move it somewhere else. Right here. Okay? 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then we are going to move that down over here. Okay? So we're deleting this line, we're deleting this line. These are the 3 lines we want. Let's see if that brings it back in sync. Draw dice values. All right, a little bit of change. We're going to save and run it again. Okay, score is 0. Press big. I see nothing. Okay. Somehow it's 4. Somehow it's 10. I think I have to mess with the stroke. Yes? Is it stroke or fill for text? Is it stroke or fill for text? To change the text color. Because right now I think it's white on white. Stroke. No? Now, my suspicion is when I roll, the dice bases are drawn. Is there other code right now that draws the dice bases again, the background? Okay. Let me try to move it down 50 pixels. I think it's hiding from us. Okay, there are your numbers, yes? So I think it was white on white text, yeah. So, hmm? Oh,
So it's not white on white.
so 150? I think it might be fill. Whatever it is. Okay, now we should clearly see the values. It's some kind of gray. That's kind of hard. Okay, back to 190 you had it. So the order should be okay now. Nope. Okay, so the dice bases I think got covered. Well, we can fix that issue another time. Right now they're a little bit lower than we want it to be, but at least we can see them. Let's make it a bit lighter, maybe 90 instead. Okay, yeah, 1, 2, and 1. Let's move it maybe 50 more pixels down, 300. So I can get to the main part of the bug. Go. Okay, down there, yes? So in the very beginning, notice we already rolled 3 things, yet we still said the score is 0. When you press big, based on the previous roll, which was like 4, 2, and 0, now we have 4, 6, and 6. We have a total of 16. Looks like, man, now I don't know what the heck's happening with score. 5, 5, and 2 make 12. Okay. 2, 4, and 5 make 11. That gave me 9. 5, 4, and 5 make 14. Something's up now. Alright, I made it worse. I'm sorry. So we go back to the drawing board. die 1, die 2. Let's comment out this sum right here. So you only ever have a sum when you are being drawn. Let's see what happens. So in the very beginning, you have random things. It totals to 8. When I press big, I see 8. When I see 7 plus 5, I see 12. I get 5, 4, I get 12. 6, I get 10. 1, now nothing's being checked. So very tiny thing, if you have var sum occur versus sum down here, right? That actually is a big difference. When you have var out here, that creates a new copy. And that copy of your sum variable only exists inside draw. So if you delete this, the one sum that it looks at is the sum you declared way up here as this thing. Let's see if that fixes it. So let me say that again. Previously, when you have var down here in draw, this creates a new copy of the same exact variable. So although inside this function it was working, as soon as you exit this function, it forgot the value of sum. This is probably why the student added var sum equals there at multiple places. Save and run. Boom. So in the very beginning, we get 0. We see 7 plus 1 is 8. That counts as a loss. 10 counts as a loss. 16 counts as a win. 2, 2, and 1. We're still 1 frame behind with the dice drawing. It counts as 9, which is a loss. Okay, we're getting closer. Next thing is the winner checking occurs in big and small. Sum is calculated now in the right spot. Oh, now this is all kinds of wacky. All right, we do want it here in big. Let's see, we get rid of the one in draw. All right, so nan you can deal with later. That's not 7. That makes 9, 15. Okay, that's in sync. That's not 7, 10, 5, 10. Okay, still the same issue. So as I'm checking the time, there's 5 minutes left. That's as far as we get for now. Looks like we'll have to comment out more, oh gosh, more stuff and figure out what's going on. So be sure to add to your reflections. Let's see if I get it in this last minute. Nan, 9. It's still 1 frame off. 12, 1, 7. I feel like we're getting closer, but perhaps another day. So work on your stuff. Reflections, there's 5 minutes left in class. This is as far as we get.